But where to even begin with reviewing a game that holds so much nostalgia? I've made it very clear again and again just how much I love this game, and that hasn't changed with this playthrough. But I think it's important to note that the game is far from perfect. The combat, for example, is clunky at best, even with the innovation of Z targeting that came with this game. At the end of the day, there is a lot of waiting around in this game, either for the day and night cycle to change, for a block to slowly move across the terrain, or for an enemy to attack and be vulnerable. The amount of unskippable instructions from characters such as Navi and the Owl becomes quite tiresome, even on the first playthrough, and gets progressively more annoying on each new playthrough. The graphics have also dated quite badly, with the angular features of the characters and the obviously drawn backgrounds not holding very well to today's standards. But overall I can forgive all of this, as the game creates an immersive world with varied environments and a well thought out lore that is still being built on to this day, and an interesting, immersive and well paced story arc lightly peppered with appropriate plot twists. While many tropes were carried over from previous Zelda games, this was the first 3D title. Do you know what, I'm just going to move this over. Oh dear, I didn't want that to happen. I can't move it over. Never mind. This is the first 3D title, and as such, it sets a lot of the tropes that were followed for years to come, not just within the Zelda series, but across 3D fantasy adventure games as a whole. Having praised the pacing of the game, it is worth noting I do sometimes feel the exposition dumps sometimes come in a tad too long, but they come rarely enough to be a welcome breath of fresh air. I even struggle to admonish the game for its plentiful bugs and glitches, as it appears to have created a community of speedrunners that have kept the game alive for far more than nostalgia for a full 20 years after the game's original release. Overall, it's hard to objectively review such a massive part of gaming history, and honestly a massive part of my own personal history, but hopefully you can all agree on the points I've made and understand that a game doesn't need to be objectively perfect to be perfect for the time and place it was released. When you consider the resources available back in 1997 when the game was being developed, and also the position of the gaming industry at the time, with 3D games really untested commercially and a lot of tropes that were yet to exist, you really have to just admire Nintendo's achievement and the vision of the developers to create such an interesting and gripping fantasy adventure game.